race. But when I opened the papers and I turned on the news, for a minute I was taken back. Missing murder, corruption, domestic abuse. I couldn't deal with that. And me say, Jesus, tell me how you see it. Come and free us. I don't want to live in fear. And I heard Jesus say to me, last time I checked, well, I said I woke up this morning, everything intact. That's enough reason to give you praise. Oh, you're the ancient of days. Oh, what a wonderful feeling. Surrounded by the ones I love and feel the warm embrace. Oh God, my hands are raised. But when I opened the papers and I turned on the news, for a minute I was taken back. Missing murder, corruption, domestic abuse. I couldn't deal with that. And they said, Jesus, tell me how you see it. Come and free us. I don't want to live in fear. And I heard Jesus say to me, last time I checked, son, me no need no hair from the body. Oh yeah, last time I checked, ooh, my ways are better and my thoughts are higher than yours. Last time I checked, my blood was enough, is enough for you. And your life is hidden me.
Welcome to another edition of Voice of the Diaspora. Mayor of Linden, Sharma Solomon, and Deputy Mayor Dominique Blair are expected to talk about the current plans for Linden's development, political difficulties stymieing progress, and what is to be expected from the Linden Town Week. They are expected to talk about that on this program, Voice of the Diaspora, this evening. We know that Linden is a town that has been targeted by the PPP regime, that has been targeted by the PPP regime for suppression and oppression. And of course, we have experienced that, but we remain resilient. Sharma Solomon, Mayor of Linden, and Dominique Blair, Deputy Mayor, sit down with Voice of the Diaspora now. Mayor of Linden, Sharma Solomon, and Deputy Mayor Dominique Blair, welcome to Voice of the Diaspora.
Good evening, Mr. Brown. Thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting the voice of the council to be able to be presenting on this Voice of the Diaspora. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I'm fine. I heard that you weren't well for a week or two, and of course, I want to say I'm happy that you were able to come on the program, that you have recovered, and you are doing the work of the people. More than the council, you're doing the work of the people. And so I'm glad that you have recovered and you're back. Dominique Blair, Deputy Mayor, welcome to the program. I'm getting some static in the background of someone's, it's a lot of noise coming in there. Yes. Dominic, Deputy Mayor, welcome to the program.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for the invite, Mr. Brown. To your listening viewers, thanks for having us so we could discuss the work of the council and what's happening within throughout the town of Linden. Thank you for having us here.
And I want to welcome you again. I want to say to my viewers, please share this live. Sonia Rigby in the United States and others who are tuning in, share this live so that people can share it also. And so it's going to be a very brief program. Of course, the mayor is quite busy. He's from meetings to meetings. And the deputy mayor also. And so the program is going to be somewhat brief, but of course, we have a responsibility to tell the people of Guyana and the diaspora what is happening in the town of Linden. I want to go straight into the program. Mr. Solomon, there has been a statutory meeting very recently. I think it was yesterday or the day before. It was yesterday. That statutory meeting, of course, this program was able to watch it via Facebook, the entire statutory meeting. And I want to commend your council for now doing that, recording, live recording of what is happening inside of the council at those meetings, so that the diaspora and the Guyanese people can see firsthand what is happening, that they can actually be a part of it firsthand. I want, in the context of Linden's development, you are the new mayor of Linden, and you would have taken over the council quite recently. You would have plans for development, and today you will tell our viewers what plans you have, and we will move on to talk about why those plans are being stymied. But let's begin by your advent as mayor and what plans you have put in place for the development, the socio-economic development of Linden.
All right, thanks again, Norman. So, yesterday we had our Sagittarian. Yes, I wasn't well, and thanks for the thoughts and prayers. And much better, God is good. But yesterday we had our Sagittary. It is not a novel thing of having the cameras in the room. The Fourth Council, they started this. I think, however, what we have done in line with our democratic values and how we promote democracy in the true spirit of a consultative, inclusionary, and participatory way, that would have allowed the generating of interest in the grassroots and on the ground for persons to feel the need and see the desire and express themselves in getting more connected with our Facebook presentation, with our live feed, with our social media presence in the statutory and in our community meetings. So we have allowed persons to be attracted to what we are doing deliberately because it is a democratic means of ensuring that we remain consultative with our community. Now, in allowing for that to happen, it in itself is allowing the aggregating of ideas, the aggregating of persons in our community, including yourself, of things that they will see and want to also have the council be a part of and take interest in. And it is in that spirit. You said I'm a new mayor, relatively 8 months, and we'll
Yes.
not forget the 2 months impasse of November and December between the council and local government ministry. But in 8 months, that aggregating of interests or those interests have allowed us to be able to put together an outlook, a vision for where we and the people of Linden would want to see Linden. And we have captured that where we have started to promote it, even in our tongue week, as part of the theme of Linden, the heart of Guyana. It's simple as that. We are not dissing the bauxite generation. We are not dissing the gateway concept that we are tied with. But we want to keep it simple. Linden, the heart of Guyana. This impact packaging that is the vision of you and I to say not only geographically where Linden is the heart of Guyana based on the Linden Suzdijk Highway, the Mabura, the Linden to Letem Road, the Demerara River, all of these major arteries and network make Linden very central and key to the development of Guyana. But beyond that geographical outlook that we have, the opportunities that Linden comes with, whether it's in the economics of the extractive sector. Linden moves about 65% of minerals, whether that is sand, laterite, stone, even lumber, through the tongue or from the tongue of Linden it comes from. If you talk construction, you're looking at the 60,000 house lots on file. Linden is the only community that is ready for expansion, and we see that the government is hinting to this expansion when they speak about Silica City and places on the highway, which is right behind Linden. Whether you talk tourism, it is the Ministry of Tourism that recognized Linden as destination tourism and even branded us 2 years ago as the best place to visit. Whether you talk about agriculture, Linden Region 10 with the Upper Berbice Agriculture Project, and we see the government taking full opportunity of what soya plantation and those massive plantation can be, and even for the citrus farming, coconut plantation. So when you talk about the heart of Guyana, what we have been doing is taking on those interests that persons have expressed, and we have started to package it within the heart of Guyana concept, where we can now move Linden to show where we fit into the national agenda of moving Guyana, and where we can start to even see the issue of oil and gas. So whether you come to ports, once that bridge is finished, the harbor bridge, know that you wouldn't have to now open a bridge. You can now have more transport in the Demerara River, which means you have more space for port facilities as far as Linden. So those are the things we have started to look to see where we can identify and how we start to move it on a sort of getting persons' interest. So even with Linden Town Week, we don't see Linden Town Week as a black party or dancing. We see Linden Town Week as a vehicle to move this agenda of Linden being the heart of Guyana. So, in a nutshell, I wanted to give you that based on where we see our vision in 8 months. As I said, of that 8 months, let us not forget November and December. We had issues with the local government ministry who wanted to impose on us a clerk. And there is where we saw one person being identified twice for the same position after we objected in November and it went back into a January situation. But notwithstanding that, within those months, we have demonstrated to the rest of Guyana, in particular to Lindeners, that we have a good idea, we understand what we are doing, we come with experience, not only myself, but even in the council. We have experienced councillors, we have young, vibrant, and enthusiastic councillors. And I believe that mix of councillors, we have a majority of women in our council. And we know Linden in itself, in terms of a community with a lot of single mothers. So we know that this council can appreciate in many ways the dynamics of this town. And we're able to put forward a responsive approach in how we want to see the development of this town.
Well, I want to quickly. You said during the local government elections, you had that fiasco in which the government wanted to impose a town clerk on the town. But my understanding is that a town clerk has been imposed on the town. So I wanted to make that clarification that a town clerk, and it ties into to the follow up question in terms of the administration of the council. You talk about the potential of Linden to be an economic zone that could impact and benefit the entire country. There's no question to that. You have talked about that, our viewers have heard that. Whether that will manifest under your council or under a council that is not controlled by the PPP regime is a question to be examined and a point to be viewed and reviewed. Your council is at present, to many, an embattled council. We watched your statutory, and we saw that the town council's administration did not seem up to scratch, did not seem as if they were willing to have a smooth functioning of the administration that would benefit the wider community based on how the operations happen within the council. I want you to touch on that because we watched that, the diaspora watched it, and people in Guyana watched it, and we saw some amount of acrimony and a lot of disrespect coming from the town clerk, who of course is someone that has been deliberately placed, and this is not my opinion, I see this as a fact, and I risk the credibility of this program to see this and state it as a fact, that the PPP civic government, because of their fear for you not only as mayor, but as a former regional chairman and an astute activist that would stand up for the people of your community and by extension the country, that the fear they have for you, that you now have become mayor, they had to find someone to frustrate every effort you make as mayor. And we see the town clerk, who is, of course, I am not opining here, who is an agent provocateur of the PPP and a surrogate of Barra Jagdio, placed deliberately in that council to undermine your efforts. We see what is happening. Yesterday, I want you to elaborate a bit on the statutory meeting. It appears to us, Mayor of Linden, that the administration of the council is deliberately not doing what they ought to do to have the smooth functioning within the council that could impact outside. Talk to us a bit about that before we go to the clip for our viewers to see.
You started off with the local government ministry, and I think, we came in the first 3 months, and this council had gotten so much accomplished. Whether it was the Co-op Crescent, where we saw a dump site at Co-op Crescent, in less than a month, we removed that and changed the culture of how persons recognize waste management in that area. It is the same we are attempting to do in front of the Mackenzie Market, and should have been done by now, but we have a new clerk and we can't move in that direction. So just show you the contrast of what could have been done in just a few months and what we are still working to get done months after in another location. But let me come back to the local government ministry. As I said just now, that in itself shows the indictment against the ministry and the government. My phone battery look like it might go just now, Norman, so I might got plugged back in. But that in itself shows where we have identified one man being appointed 2 times to the same position. Because in the interest of good governance, where we recognize that an individual was coming to the council without coming through the procedures, and why that individual was being imposed and is being imposed on the council, it is for 2 principal reasons. It is to undermine the council, and wherever resources are in the council, to give to individuals that are politically aligned to a different political party. And we've seen that. We've identified that. Whether it was with the situation with the 345 of the entire week of Linden Town being sold to an individual for, or other matters that we are uncovering at the moment.
Sharma Solomon there. I think he's experiencing some problems with his battery. I think he's going to plug it in now, and he will be back shortly. Dominique Blair, Deputy Mayor here. We will certainly get to you in a few minutes. I know that you have got your thoughts and your views based on what is being discussed here. You've got your thoughts and views to add to what is being discussed here, and so I want you to fill the gap for Sharma Solomon as he sets his phone up and to be charged. Dominic, what are your thoughts on what the mayor is saying and the present situation within the council, where it appears as if the town clerk Lennox Gaspar is trying to stymie progress within the council, frustrating the council, not getting anything done, showing some level of incompetence and unwillingness. What is your view of that? Why is that happening?
Well, I must emphasize the mayor is correct in what he's saying. The clerk is incompetent. He has his function, his duty, and he's not executing any of those functions nor any of those duties. Whether is you see the mayor talk about the dump site, simple thing like the dump site, getting statutory meetings, statutory book place. You paid attention to the statutory meeting they had yesterday, um, about the level of incompetence coming from the town clerk. We still await the is almost two months now. The mayors have not even gotten himself and security hut in front of his yard. Um, quite honest, the mayor said to them yesterday, "You brought the wood, you left it in front of my yard. My yard is not a garbage site. If you guys are not building the stuff, take it back. Let it go back to the council. He will be sending it back." Um, and for that, I'm saying that it was an imposed town clerk because the town clerk is in his functions. He's not executing any of the function, none of the mandate for the council. He's operating outside the council, making decisions outside the council, and how I want the viewers to understand how the council operates. The council, we're the policy makers. The act states what the town clerks preview, what he's supposed to do. The town clerk's supposed to execute the duties of the council, and he has not. We're at statutory meetings, we're making recommendations, we're making decisions, and the town clerk has not executed. So what is he doing there at the council?
But let me ask you the question. I think everyone seems to be aware that within the context of politics in Guyana, the PPP plays a hard ball game. And
Yeah,
you can't come here to say to the people that you represent that the town clerk is not doing what he ought to do. He's not executing. Did you expect that
right.
the PPP placed the town clerk there to execute or to frustrate? Now, if we are aware that the town clerk was placed there to make the council under the mayorship of Sharma Solomon fail for political reasons, my question to you, if you are aware of that, then you would expect that these frustrations would be forthcoming. My question to you is, what do you intend to do to arrest that
If
and to cause it to be removed? That is what I want to ask you.
uh, you paid attention to March 6 statutory, I think the ending of the statutory, the last thing I on any other business, I asked for us, the council, to make for us to have a no confident motion against the clerk. The first step, he needs to be reprimanded. Um, I think this statutory, he recognized that it was coming,
But that
disrupting
wasn't
the
on the
meeting.
agenda. It wasn't on the agenda of this statutory, was it?
No, but and it have a section called any other business that matters like these could be raised. Before we got to that, to deal with the clerk and his behavior, again he walked out. This is something. This is a third meeting he had walked out in the council. He walked out in committee meetings because at his level of arrogance. You heard the mayor talked about him. No one silenced him. Um, he's just rude towards councils, even rude towards staff. So when you talk about the administration, is it's not the entire administration. Is him admit? Look, yesterday at statutory meeting, the clerk is threatening administrating officers and workers that if you do not walk out behind him, you hearing this coming out, that you will be fired.
But Dominic, I want to point this question to back to the mayor because he was cut off for a second there because of his phone battery. But I want to, and I love the response you gave, but you haven't answered me fully. So I will throw the question over to the mayor of Linden. We understand, and I think that the mayor and town council understand that within the context of our political dynamics in Guyana, Mr. Mayor, that it is expected that Lennox Gaspar would be placed in that council as an agent of the PPP to not only frustrate the day-to-day running of the council, but to undermine your leadership. Now, everything we see being discussed in the council, and the town clerk's behavior within the council, the excuses he is making, and the incompetence that is glaring, sorry, that is expected because his work is to undermine and to stymie the progress of the council. My question that I asked the deputy mayor, and I'm going to ask you now, Mr. Mayor, knowing that that's the agenda of the PPP, to place someone there to undermine your council, your leadership and your council's leadership, what do you intend to do to cause that to be removed and to ensure that you can do the work that will benefit the people of Linden?
I think, like I was saying earlier, the motive of the local government ministry must first be identified for what. Just go through the process. The process before we objected was at the immediate resignation of the last clerk, an imposition of a clerk on the 2nd of November, after the unceremonial resignation of the last clerk. We had no 1 month's notice or anything like that. In that objection, we recognized the individual that was coming, and let us not be shy about this, was the architect of the last local government election on behalf of the People's Progressive Party. We know that.
Yes.
So we understand that clear agenda of what that individual is and was coming with. And as we see that unfolding, and as I said earlier, in that objection, you had now a president of the local government ministry. And here comes one man being identified twice for the same position. And the only candidate that was interviewed for that position. So we know is two motives of coming here, which is to undermine the council and wherever resources are, and we saw that with the 345 situation, give to friends, family, and favorites resources of the council. So we know what is happening. What is important, however, now, it is for the public to recognize, as we have identified, and they are seeing that, and what they've started to recognize is not only the vision we have demonstrated we have been able to promote in 3 months between August to October, but after the advent of this clerk, where we are in terms of the work of the council and some of the most basic things that we've asked, request, and should be done by now, and it is not being done. So our job first is to ensure that we are able to demonstrate those two things, that we are with a vision to get the work of the town done, and where we want to see the development of this town, whether it's in matters of Linden Town Week, it is the management of the toll booth, it is the development of new economic zone, all of those things. We have to show the public, here it is, here is the process. We still work by a 2801 constitutional obligation. We still work by rules, laws. But what we have been doing outside of that first, which shows what we are able to do and can do, is then to show where the deficiency, where the obstruction, where the impediments are, especially with relation to the clerk and his behavior, so that Linden can see, like you saw yesterday, where we are and what we have to do. So now comes what will have to be done. But that does not take us away from the work that in the period we have to do our work. And let me just, before I go, give you this. That work is going to be done whether it's on the 3 facets or 3 approaches. Whether it's government, understanding that this is still a municipal council that they have an obligation to work with based on rules, laws, and regulations, and we will ensure we maintain that engagement with government, which we have to. Central and local must work. And 2, where the resources are in this council, which is a very broken council. We can't even have a functional fleet of tractors. We can't, very broken. I had a conversation with a woman named Nadine. We owe NIS to many of our staff in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So this is a broken council. But once managed properly, and this is where we thought we would have had such a professional manager as an administrator to come in and to see where we have to make those adjustments to improve what this council can become. Now, if the council is not working the way we want to work, so government will engage and they have their own position. Now we see their response and their behavior to the council. We turn to council to see what we can do. We see in the council where the obstructions and impediments are.
Yes.
Then we'll come to the public. That's the third approach. And so far, I can say this to you, Norma. Our relationship with the public is one where we have had a very responsive and a very receptive public that is prepared to work with the council. And I'll give you one example, and we go right back to the wharf. That in 1 month, our relationship with those vendors allowed what was an open dump site to become a place where benches, lights, and people can now go in the afternoon and sit right now as we speak, would have been transformed. So we have an approach, whether it's through government, whether it's through the council, or back to the community, which we have been working to get many of the things done, including, as you can see, this Linden Town Week, the type of approach we've made have gotten it the sort of recognition more than any other town week. Whether it's the controversy, whether it's the planning, whether it's the arrangements that we've had, and even in the limited time that we've had to do that, our community and our community support is so strong that it is that support that is driving Linden and is driving the work of the council. So notwithstanding our challenges and impediments, this council is and will get things done now.
The council is and it will get things done. Mayor of Linden, Sharma Solomon. I am not very satisfied by the full response to my question, but I know that you would have really tried hard to show where the enthusiasm is to get things done. Let me ask this question that I asked the deputy mayor when you were away. I understand that there are moves to have a no confidence motion against the town clerk. Where does that stand currently?
Well, that comes from the again, what we see, what we've observed. I know at the last statutory, in fact, it was after the last extraordinary meeting the clerk walked out on. We did reprimand the clerk after the last statutory in terms of actions that the council would have taken and is going to take with reference to such behavior. I know we saw something yesterday, and I know the council is not only reviewing that, but we must realize that this is the 3 months period of the clerk from January to March,
Yes.
which is the probation period of any employee. And it is in that context, we will first take the first set of action with reference to the clerk on probation and his performance and the review of that performance. And it is from that we will take the necessary action.
It is from that. Mayor Sharma Solomon, I have to, because the Linden Town Week is very, very important to tourism in Linden and to Linden's pride. It is something that is, it is memorable. It will be etched in the history of that town, regardless of which direction we go in the future. As I said, you have, and I want to make this clear because I don't want people to think that I am not projecting what is true. I am fully cognizant to the fact that the PPP will do whatever is in their power to mash you, to make you fail. You understand? And it could get worse than that. So you are beginning from a position of disadvantage because the PPP intends to make sure that the council does not succeed. I want you to understand that. when we look at the Linden Town Week, when we look at you know, popular organizations that have historically been attached to the Linden Town Week, like the Kashif and Shanghai organization. Here is a situation where one of the directors of the Kashif and Shanghai organization, founders of the Kashif, is Aubrey Shanghai Major, and he is also a PPP representative. He is a PPP activist at Linden that is out, in my estimation, to get you. He went to the national newspapers quite recently and he said, on behalf of myself and family, I will attempt to address some of the issues that is undermining my family and the well-being of Linden. He said that. And he referred to you as your deceitful and envious behavior towards our success, coupled with your politicization of the town's affairs, has led us to believe that you may very well be the worst mayor of Linden. The worst mayor, that Linden has ever seen. Instead of supporting initiatives that benefit the community, you seem more interested in prioritizing political agendas over the welfare of Linden residents. You have the opportunity here to respond to Aubrey Shanghai Major, who is a PPP activist, who seems to be one of the most powerful persons at Linden, that is undermining your leadership and attempting to taint your character. I want you to speak to the diaspora tonight about what is happening between yourself and Aubrey Shanghai Major at a political level and at a personal level.
Well, Norman, I'm a Muslim. I'm fasting at the moment. I have always, as an individual, know how to keep my personal belief away from my professional approach to doing things.
Yes.
So there is nothing personal with me. I don't know if there's anything personal from the individuals. So that's one thing I want to make quite clear. We have no personal interest in this. And for what is written about envy and things like that, that's a personal opinion of an individual. And most things like that you prove through factual demonstration of where those positions are emitting from. And I don't think those things were there. So I think the letter in itself is a flagrant attempt to demonstrate where someone's personal position is on things. And I can draw your attention to all the matters we have covered so far as a council. It is not the mayor, it is not the councillors. Most of this emits from the administration and the clerk. I'll give you one, for example, yesterday, of the amount of monies owed with persons associated with the organization of New Era. It is not we, the council, who brought this out, it is the clerk. It is the clerk who actually brought the letter to our attention, and as such, the council have to deal with it. In terms of the building, it is not this mayor or the council. Again, it is the administration when we had the last town clerk who brought to our attention that the Amelia's Ward community is without the market space as the spaces we were looking to develop, whether it's Silver Valley Street as economic zones or the Karakara area as economic zones. What about the Amelia's Ward area for the development of the economic zone? There is a building or buildings there. Now, that is not our interest who own those buildings. What is our interest is that the people of Amelia's Ward, with a population of 10,000 residents, is with no market space. And as a council responsible, we have to ask questions of where space identified for the market or the economic zone development is. And that will bring us directly into the questioning of who is there, if they have the right to be there, can we see where that right is, whether it's in building plans or things like that. This is nothing personal. Whether it is the Linden Town Week itself, And we saw where a $345,000 were paid to undermine the event and who it was paid by. Now, was the council not to object to that? Was the council not to intervene on behalf of the people of Linden to ensure that the people of Linden are able to get maximum out of Tongue Week? It goes through a process that allow everyone, as it is right now, an opportunity to be part of the celebration of the tongue and to be part of able to earn like everyone else. So I want to make that quite clear. Whether these issues seem to some as personal, that's their opinion.
Yeah,
But with reference,
but Mr. Mayor, I am not going to cut you because I'm happy that you're responding to this. But Aubrey Shanghai Major, who is a representative of the Kashifa Shanghai organization and the activist of the PVP, is actually calling you out in public, in the national newspapers
yes,
and
but
everywhere else.
what I'm saying, Armand, that's his personal. I'm not getting into that.
Oh, you're not going to get in
Well,
that.
listen, let me say this. Let me say, I just give you the issues surrounding the individuals, and I will
Individual.
stick to the issues because I cannot. I give you where, even as an individual, I cannot do that because I don't know these people and I have no interest to know them beyond the issues affecting the people of this town. How do we ensure the people in Amelia's ward are able to not be threatened by putting down temporary structures, that we have a place for them to be able to economically develop themselves? That becomes my concern. Whoever is there on the space identified for them, we will deal to identify that. How do I ensure, like you just said, one of the biggest events in Guyana, Linden Town Week, is not sold out for $345,000? Got nothing to do with a personal individual. It got to do with the issue of that not happening, which have not happened, and how do we ensure it doesn't happen and a fair environment is created for everyone to participate. I will not get into the personal matter of name calling. That becomes as insignificant to the individual to demonstrate their first state of mind and their ability to even reason beyond their limitedness. I will not get into
Well,
the
I'm glad
personal
that
things.
I'm glad
All
that
right.
I'm glad that I pulled you out there to say that, because that is what the program is about. I have to pull you out to say that, and so let us go quickly to the Mackenzie Sports Club, and let us talk a bit about the tongue week, the plans for the tongue week. What do you expect from the tongue week? But before we go there, I want to drive home the point in which I would ask Deputy Mayor Dominique Blair, how he wished to respond to a town clerk that will go to the Mackenzie Sports Club and actually utter these words, you know.
Naysayers wanted to fight and oppose.
This will be saying gospel.
Come and consult with us.
Consult.
Let us see first
The
and let us
consultation will
agree.
still going on.
Nonsense. This is progress and
No, but
development
gospel,
all the
the
way.
thing is, when this year started, Minister was thinking about the football field. When we came and spoke to them, they said no, cricket got to play.
All right.
Minister went back, changed it
Remodeled
around,
the
and
setup.
said, here, well, we just set it so it could accommodate cricket and football. When we come in now with this here, sir, there's a fight down
Yeah,
again.
because people selling the lies for score cheap political points.
You know what they really want, buddy. Anyway, they get it.
Right. That's what we got to do. Keep pressing.
People selling the lies to score cheaper. This is your town clerk. Both the deputy mayor and the mayor. This is your town clerk. Clearly identifying with PPP operatives who are the enemies of the people of Linden. The town clerk who has to sit and deal with the administration that is saying, oh, the batteries were intact. I don't know why the microphones are not working. The statutory notes cannot come back in time after 1 month after statutory meeting. Excuses after excuses. Here is a town clerk that is publicly identifying in your tongue with PvP surrogates to say what he's saying. Dominic Blair quickly, and then we go to Sharma Solomon before we talk about that week. and wrap up.
The look, as the mayor's um, said in his opening remarks about consultative and participatory when it comes to the matter of this tongue, you clearly see when it comes to the Mackenzie Sports Club facility. I grew up 2 houses away from Sports Club. No consultant would have not been done with the residents on the Mackenzie Sports Club. We have not gotten a chance to participate in whatever planning was done. The members, even the membership, doesn't know exactly what's happening at Sports Club. Um, in a nutshell, when it comes to Sports Club, the people, Sports Club was given to the people for the people of this tongue here, and the people of the tongue will rise up at some point because we are not, as leaders, elected officials, we are not anti-development, but we understand good governance. We understand in, as the mayor just said in his opening remarks about participatory inclusion, including people, democratic process, and these are the principles we like. We're currently having meetings in the constituency in Constituency 3, which the Mackenzie Sports Club directly is in. We have residents in that community that are being threatened, that their lands are being that will be be taken away, are going to be taken away. The mayor will speak about it because they're engaging us. And there's a time for everything, Narman. Nothing. Look, we are monitoring the situation, and we're saying that there's a time for everything on this matter. And the town clerk, the town clerk is very ashamed to know a guy from Linden that is very hurtful to see. I mean, that you could sit and you could walk among. You have a minister making remarks on Sports Club that doesn't even know the history about Sports Club, and you sit there and no one corrected him. He have so much thing surrounding that matter. Look, members got locked up when it comes to that Sports Club facility. That matter is an ongoing situation, and I wish not to speak a lot about it right now. But we are currently monitoring the situation, and we are going to deal with that situation as elected official in a timely manner.
In a
Thanks.
timely manner. Dominic, someone has sent a message here to this program, and they said it is obvious that the PPP's agenda is to attack and weaken and break down Mayor Sharma Solomon in order to take over Linden. The people of Linden must be vigilant and ready to push back against that. What is your view on that? Do you believe that there can be mobilization for people to push back against that when you have a town clerk in the council that is doing every single thing to frustrate the council, when you have PPP activists outside who are doing everything to smear the mayor's character? What is your view on based on what that commentator would have said?
Uh, well, how we
It
deal with
is
matters.
it is obvious that the PVP agenda is to attack, weaken, and break down Mayor Sharma Solomon, in order to take over Linden. Do you believe that, and how do you respond to that?
It's evident. It's evident that we're seeing the attacks coming from the entire council on on matters that, look, some simple matters the council is having have gotten attacks on. The mayor just talked about we just had to defend a whole tongue week for $345,000, and no one have picked that up and run with that. But they're looking into some frivolous thing within the council that doesn't even, that right now is not relevant to what's happening right now in throughout the town. And well, I could say, Mr. Salmon, as the mayor, is very steadfast on his approach and dealing with these matter. Uh, they understand, because they've been around since in 2012, the struggle. We understand. They understand. As councillors, we have meetings every single. We have a lot of meetings on how we deal with matters. I mean, with his stewardship and how we deal with things. He asked us not to, it's a time for everything, not to retaliate. He sit on top because, as he said earlier, he's a young council. We're now into politics. Myself, other council, we're now into politics. And he always say to most of the young councillors that don't be carried away. They will be attacked. If this is before we even got into office. So we prepared for this. Before we got into office, we know that it's going to be a different game. So when we see the town clerk got removed, We know there were plans for this council. And I want to say to some brothers who's listening, or some sisters who's listening to the live, not to be carried away by the rhetoric by the PPP that the mayor's been bought, the council's been bought. That is their that is their
But you are the deputy mayor. I'm sorry to cut you. You're the deputy mayor. You have a mayor that is being targeted by a very powerful regime to ensure that he fails. You are the deputy mayor. The deputy, you are the wingman. The people believe that the PP agenda is to attack and weaken your mayor. What strategy, what plans do you have to ensure that that's being pushed back? And I just want 10 seconds of an answer. What would you do to push that back as the deputy mayor?
Normally depending the matter, whatever the matter may be, we as a council, not myself, we operate as a team, a family, not myself. We operate as a family. When it comes to attacks on the council, because the mayor is the first of our council, he's just a character. Because one day I could be the mayor. Any one of the councils could be the mayor. But we have to defend that character, that council. We have to defend that the principles and the policies. That is the first thing we have to defend. We go by law, rule, and that is our first approach, by rule and law. That's why there's if you heard Mr. Salmon in his opening statement again, we have to defend by rule and law. There's a time for everything, Norman.
There is a time for
I don't want to
everything.
say too much on
Dominic Blair, I accept your answer. And I see where, and why we are where we are at the moment. Let us go to the tongue week. And this question is for both of you. Sharma Solomon, Mayor of Linden, Linden Tongue Week 2024. What should we expect? What would your council have put in place in collaboration with the Linden Town Week Committee? What are the barriers you're facing, and how do you determine the success of the Town Week, even though there are pitfalls along the way? How do you determine the success?
Let me just go right back to something quickly to say, listen, Norman, power is with the people. We're not arrogant. We're built for this, Norman. Now we as the individual, we the people are built for this. We have beaten $1 billion campaign, 9,000 plus people in the last local government election with $1. That's the power of the people in this town. They're not going to be bought out. They know the hustlers. They know the tricksters. They understand how to deal with these things now. And you and I understand this. Forget the fancy language in the fancy office. You and I know we
Well, I have to ask you the question. You said we know the hustlers, we know the tricksters.
Understand that, but I'm saying to
Are
you,
the
Kashivan,
is the Kashivan Shanghai organization hustlers and tricksters?
I understand where you're going, but what I'm saying to you is that the people understand when they see what they see, and they know how to deal with it. As I said, who could beat the amount of hustling that was taking place in the last local government election? We saw the red wave, and the red wave meant nothing. Because the people power showed that it will mean nothing. So our confidence of being built for this, it's not on arrogance. It's that we understand the people, and we've always entrusted our faith of representing people.
To come true.
We've said three things. We've said three things. We're here to give right, proper, and strong representation to our people. And that is all we're here to do. We are here to give them that.
But Sharma, how do you give strong representation from within the council?
But we've been doing it.
Hold on. With a situation like this.
No. Would have asked the councillor about the time, and the time is stated 72 hours or any time shorter. That would be determined by council. However, the administration is indeed doing their best. We would have had to grapple with dealing with the situation that came upon us suddenly as it relates to the garbage. We have to deal with execution of decisions for council, all of this at the same time. The registry staff are not only dealing with the committee meeting minutes as well as the statutory minutes. They have other information that they work from the various departments. And so the council, the administration, just as how the councillor, Ms. Bentic, stated that the council is doing their best, the administration is also doing their best to make sure. And this is a work in progress. This is the first time we would have put a system in place to close off the 20th, and so that will give us time to make sure that things are put in order, and we'll continue to examine the system and to see how more efficient it can work for in the best interest of both the council and the expeditious flow of the council's business to the community.
Well, I think I did say the admin should take a look at this, because even in that unilateral approach to the 20th, we cut in half. You just talk about silence and domination. That's the sort of arrogance we're talking about. That's the sort of arrogance and disrespect to this meeting we are talking about. You're talking about excluding.
Interpretation of arrogance.
You're talking about again. That is the sort
for that to be noted in the record.
Again, that is the sort of behavior that we are speaking about. That is what we just talked about. The incompetence of the administration. 3 months. We have a new clerk acting to 3 months, and every month we've gotten this problem. Every single month. Even with the unilateral changes of moving dates around at the deadline for committee meetings, still problems. The clerk just accepted they're being overwhelmed. It means they're incompetent to do this work. He is saying they're overwhelmed. He is saying the work is too much for him because they're dealing with this, then it will become more overwhelming because this is a town with many issues. The clerk is saying that they're unable to deal with these issues as they unfold, that so much are the issues unfolding we can't get timely minutes because a garbage situation or this or that. The clerk is accepting that they cannot deal with these issues, so much so that they can't give us timely minutes. Yes, Councillor Ali.
So
I'm saying to you, what I'm saying to you, Narman, is simple. So we are not looking, nobody can come to the council for sympathy. They got to come with solutions. Now, the point is, that is why we were saying up front, if you're going to give us a clerk or you're going to imply a clerk, which should have been done properly, then it should be someone who understands properly administrative management, someone with a legal understanding to interpret at least 2801 or the laws properly and don't have to leave council to go and come back with an interpretation. So those things are unfolding, and they're unfolding before the public as to why we said these things before. Now, because I know
Mr. Mayor, I am sorry to cut you. I am really sorry to cut you, and I will let you continue. But I think the public knows that the town clerk is fulfilling his rightful agenda on behalf of the PPP. The clerk did not go to that council to make it successful. I think the whole country and the diaspora is aware of that. The clerk is doing a fantastic job in which he was placed to do, to undermine and frustrate in order to see your council fail. My question to yourself and the deputy mayor, how do you arrest that?
It's not work. It's not work. Think 345. That would have undermined this council. 345 to be sold out in itself is not only undermining, but taken away from Linden. We have stopped that. So don't act as if the council is not doing what it needs to be done and is not working. We are. Because if we weren't, that would have slid through. It did not. Like many of the other things. Of course, it will take us a little longer, but nothing, even with this clerk involved, that we have planned, we have not gotten done. Everything we've gotten done. Of course, like I said with the last clerk, it took us maybe a month. It took us maybe a month. Think about the MMG. We're going to have MMG in place. We are. Think about our cameras. All these things will be done. Of course, you will see, however, the frustration to get them done. But we're unfazed, Narma. We're unfazed to the point that we remain steadfast and we're getting. So we come to Tongue Week. We
Yeah.
come to the Linden Town.
Yes, go ahead.
The issue of Tongue Week coming out of the January period and this new clerk, it is this clerk who said after the extraordinary meeting, we will have no Tongue Week. That sort of reckless talk should not even be allowed. It should be sacrilegious to every Lindener to hear someone say, we will have no Tongue Week. Even if there are differences, then we must work beyond those differences and ensure what is priority is Tongue Week.
Totally agree.
Not
Totally
that
agree.
reckless, fragrant gaffe of saying that we'll have no Tongue Week. So I'm saying to you, imagine that undermining, that sort of frustration did not occur. And we're now having the council put forward through a good governance approach, a process that allows the involvement of everyone and allows the entire public to see what we are doing. There's no underhand, no side cutting, no friends, family, and favorites. There are 40 persons who wanted to be involved in this Tongue Week. They all were invited to a meeting. They all were evaluated on the merits of their application, and they were all, not one excluded, including persons who wanted to buy out the Tongue Week, given an opportunity to be a part of Tongue Week 2024. So even the frustrations, even the undermining did not stop that. So I'm saying to you, we are steadfast. We have not been interrupted to the point of not having anything. We've been interrupted to the point of trying to be frustrated and holding back in terms of our timing. So instead of Tongue Week having to launch months ago, we launched. Instead of Tongue Week being planned early in the year, we still plan, and we are moving ahead with successful plans. Now, let me tell you again where we are with that three-level approach, where people, all of this planning have now become a community event. And I am so excited for this, that you can talk about a karaoke.
Yeah.
You can talk about a spelling bee, as we were on the phone with Keith Semple and the people from Linden Fund. It is organized. It is average Lindener who've saddled up, who've picked up their package and say, what can we do? What we have to get done, and let us get it done. And so far, it is the success story of Linden Town Week, where Lindeners have started to do what Lindeners know to do best, which is to fix and build this town, notwithstanding the frustration, notwithstanding the impediments. So you will see even the 3, 4, the 5, how far that sort of behavior, which in itself is so outdated that we believe it is only one set of people we can have in this town to either pull off massive events or even to give us some sort of event. Having others involved will demonstrate to people that once given the opportunity, other people can do as much successful hosting of events and even to be part of the development of what Linden Town Week could become under the management of this town council. Because what do we provide in the town council? Unlike 3, 4, 5, we provide good governance that allows a process that even those who wanted to undermine and buy out the town week can come and sit down and be given a fair opportunity to go through what they want to do. So we are not being frustrated to the point of stopping. We are being frustrated to frustrate our efforts of moving forward, which so far have not succeeded. And I come right back to local government elections, where power is with the people. And notwithstanding a $1 billion campaign, the people of Linden beat that back. And they will continue to beat that back because Linden is not for sale.
Power is with the people. Mayor Sharma Solomon, we're wrapping up now. Power is with the people. But it's the economic prowess with the people. Linden is a hilly sand and clay belt, not a single Lindener as a sandpit. How do you respond to that before we go to our closing remarks?
I'll say this, as early as yesterday, we just missed the any other business. This council have so far engaged GGMC on that said matter. We've so far started to work not only sand, but laterite and other minerals and other areas where we see as a council and to get our people involved in ensuring that they are the beneficiary of these sort of resources, whether it is even at our toll booth. And how do we ensure that the resources coming out of this town, we can able to levy and benefit in terms of how we put rates and taxes on these individuals who are extracting and who are benefiting from the tongue. So, of course, there is much work to be done, Narman.
But,
8
but
months,
under
2
your
months missing
leadership,
from that.
under your leadership, will we see Lindeners who have the capacity, who who's got the wherewithal to exploit successfully our resources in Linden? Will we see um, 2 or 3 Lindeners, Linden businessmen, owning sand pits, um, owning stuff that that are resources in the tongue, raw resources, natural resources,
We,
to exploit and
let me
benefit the
say this,
tongue?
Narman. We are about Londoners. We are part of the local content before local content. And as regional chairman, that was always our approach. Even now, and I'll give you the tongue week as an example, that we did not give tongue week to anyone else except people who are living in Linden that are
Linden.
Lindeners. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
So even if they choose to partner with others, as in the local content approach, then they can do that. But our first priority remains to ensure that Lindeners, and you talk sandpit, and all the other things are part of the development, but we see bigger than sandpit. We see more concessions. Even we see, as you look to build houses, we see some of those development zones belonging to Lindeners. And how do they partner with others? So as we promote Linden, the heart of Guyana, and I give you those areas of expansion economic wise, whether tourism, manufacturing, construction, it is to say to Lindeners based on the data that are available. What is available? How do you ensure that you put yourself in the niche of acquiring and earning so that anyone else coming in, and we see the influx, we see the mad rush to come towards that which is Linden, the heart of Guyana. But we ensure that our people are front and center and are placed as priority. And as I said, the Tongue Week is an example of what we have done to demonstrate that we're prepared to do that.
Okay, and so we're wrapping up now. I have to go to the deputy mayor to give him a minute or two because the central theme coming from the mayor on behalf of the council is about the people, empowerment of the people. Dominique Blair, I understand that the council, your council, would have employed someone, an ordinary Lindener, to do work for the council, I think via a taxi service, and that person wasn't paid. The diaspora heard from people who are of no significance, but the subject is significant. Some people played political with it because they wanted to interfere with the council and to show the council in a bad light. But of course, the wife of the person contacted me. I wasn't able to have a discussion with them or to get back to them due to a busy schedule. But it has been alleged that a poor man would have done work for the council with his car, his taxi, and was not paid. How do you respond to that?
I'll be quite honest with you, Norman. I'm going to deal with issue. I'm not going to deal with personality. I'm dealing with issue.
Yeah.
The campaign, I don't know about the council, the campaign has not owed a single person any funds. Campaign was run, we had a campaign manager. The campaign was run by the campaign manager, the structure. And the structure had not gotten to any business with anyone, any single soul. No, the campaign manager, the campaign, I think the mayor could give some, because he's a part of the campaign team, he would give some remarks on this matter. But I'm going to deal with the issue. The campaign have not owed a single person during the campaign.
But you said that the money was owed, but the person said they didn't want the money
So let me
anymore.
let me let me
Hold
just
on,
say this now.
hold on, Mr. Mayor. With all due respect, I'm going to deal with Dominic for a few minutes here, and then I'll get to you. I'm asking you the question.
Give
You
me the
made
issue.
a public statement that
I'm the
the
issue.
person did
Somebody
not.
asked, somebody reached out to me and asked me to get involved in a matter of knowledge about, asked me to look into the matter. As a good citizen, as a good person I am, I tried to look into the matter.
Was money
And
owed to someone that they refused to accept it after? Was money owed?
I do not know the gist of the story. They causing legal implications. I met
Well,
with that lady,
let the legal
and that lady
implications come
said
ahead.
she doesn't want no money. You need to stop it. You gotta
No, no,
stop.
no. I
You
have
only
all the
upset.
messages. I
Really,
have
truly, you
all the
upset.
messages.
You upset because your tongue weak for yourself because you were bidding for some other issue, and you this is the only thing where you upset. But you need to
What are you
stop it.
talking
You
about?
need to stop
You
it.
ever see me?
You
You
need to
ever see me,
stop it.
Dominic?
And I
You
remember
ever
that
see me
I
promote
come in this
anything?
live to talk to you, person. You need to stop it. Because let me
Stop
tell you
what?
something with the allegations. Because let me tell you something. You come
I
to
am
America, you
saying,
come to
I,
Ghana steady. You come to Ghana 3 times a
Dominic,
month.
Dominic,
Who knows if you're doing cocaine? How say if you can make allegations like that against you? You need to
they
stop it.
can, they can
You
check.
need to listen. You need to
Anybody
speak
can
things
check what I
that you
doing.
could prove, my brother. You need to stop
Dominic,
it. It
I have
won't get you
messages from
nowhere.
you.
Anyhow, I'm
I have
finished.
messages from you. I
Yeah.
have messages from you that we had this conversation. Yes or no?
I told you already before when I spoke to you in the matter. The lady said she doesn't want no money.
The
I can
lady said her
screenshot.
husband is fed up.
I can screenshot and send it to you. I told the lady said she doesn't want no money, but you
The
here on Facebook
lady,
trying to
the
those
lady.
You said the lady said she doesn't want any money, so money was owed. And that is why I played that clip. Was money owed, and the person said they didn't want the
No, let
money
me say
anymore.
this now, and I'll jump in right here, even though you're telling me to not. This is a campaign matter. This is simple as it was. This campaign that I was part of the management, we owe nobody. What the campaign structure did is every council, including myself, as candidates then, I got
Was money
cars
owed,
from
and the person
individuals.
said they didn't want the
No,
money
let me say
anymore.
this now, and I'll jump in right here, even though you're telling me to not.
I'm getting
This
a
is a
feedback
campaign matter.
from your
It's as
side,
simple as
Sharma.
it was. This
I think
campaign that I
yeah,
was
you
part
need
of
to
the
turn down.
management,
You
we
need to
owe
turn
nobody.
down the device.
What the campaign structure did is every council, including myself, as candidates then, I got cars from the party.
You muted yourself, Sharma. You muted yourself.
Yeah, but what I'm
Yeah,
saying
go
to you,
ahead.
because
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
hearing it from other people, so I don't
You're
know
getting a
who's
feedback.
talking
You're
and
getting
I'm
a
hearing
feedback.
somebody
Yeah,
playing it back.
yeah. Somebody playing it back. Go ahead, Sharma.
Yeah, but like I'm saying to you, Narman, as part of the management of this campaign, the campaign, I think our expenses came up to just over $3 million.
Yeah.
We owe nobody. Every single scrutineer, every single person who worked for the campaign. Now, what candidates did
I haven't
to
brought the matter.
enhance their ability to able to get out to get work done, I got 2 cars. Had nothing to do with the campaign. Another man got 2 cars. He might. So persons may have racked up their own expenses, and we're not putting anybody out there. And when individuals came to us with those expenses, we passed that information on to whoever owed and said, listen,
Yeah.
it's not the campaign. So if you owe, honor your obligation. That is what it was. It was an individual who we as party members, who we as colleagues first encouraged to pay and then support to ensure that the obligation made to the individual, if you hire their car, like me, I got people who I know who say, Sham, hold my car. I got people who come with a license, I can drive a car. Had nothing to do with the campaign. I got people who come to me and say, give me $5,000 and let me put gas in my car. That had nothing to do with the campaign. So outside expenses that were racked up and persons took it as if Sharma Salomon, Dominique Blair, Darren Adams, and this campaign owe someone was not only taken out of context, it was very malicious to even do that because the information would have said to those individuals that our campaign first don't owe anyone, and second, to label the people in one brush because of this situation versus corrupt, just like that, and scampish, then it is
It was an
something we have
attack
to
on the
question.
council. It was an attack on the council. And I agree with that
But
100%.
but
It
but,
was
but the point
malicious.
was made.
But
The point was made.
the lady said that they work, or husband worked for the council, and it was not.
No, no, not the council. Be clear. There wasn't even a council before then. You can't work for the council. We had no council. It was the campaign.
It was the campaign.
And we
Okay.
said that no one was owed in the campaign. So it is the individuals who were candidates had some of their own obligations,
Oh, I
which
got
they
that. I
dealt
got
with.
that now. Yeah, yeah, I
So
got
this had
that
nothing
now.
to do
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the campaign. It had nothing to do with the council. Persons who are trying to make the comparison and draw a link, as I said, are very malicious in what they are saying. Because it had nothing to do with the campaign, it has nothing to do with this council.
Okay.
Individuals who racked up expenses, we told them, if you have outstanding and you cannot honor your obligations, then we will try to assist you.
Assist you.
But not
Yeah.
nothing to do with the campaign, had nothing to do with this council. Because
Dominic,
there was no
Deputy
council
Mayor, are you
before then.
satisfied with that?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was I was trying to bring it over to you, because as the mayor says, very malicious. Was very malicious. It was nothing to do with the campaign. Somebody reached out to me, and I dealt with the matter. I reached out to the individual because I'm not dealing with individual. I'm dealing with the issue. The issue is that it's very malicious. You can. I'm a businessman for over 12 years, and to have my name labeled with things like scam, corrupt, I felt it. I felt very appalled to know something of such. A matter that I've not gotten into agreement or into contract or into any sort of way with even this lady or what's not. As the mayor said, the campaign has not engaged no one, and and just to put in context, I have nothing, I have nothing against the individual, not the lady, but I'm just saying clear. I was just parallel phrasing when it comes to corrupt scam, because I'm not a scam, I'm not a corrupt, I'm a businessman for over 12 years, and I always take pride in my business, and I hate when person could say things about me, because I feel very, look, I do business with a lot of people, and when they could hear my name alongside corrupt and scam, that was very bad. And for a matter that I have no knowledge about, someone just called me to ask me to look into the matter. Look, who knows? I just when I said when if to give some clarification on the lady, who knows? Somebody just called me and asked me, yo, like normally you would call me say, Dominic, look into something for me. By the time I reached to the lady was like, yo, pana here what happened? I frustrated. I don't know where's the story, and I told I came back to you, Norman, and say, hey, the lady said this to me, by whoever, you know, they said, I expect it. That's a done deal.
Well, you know
I
what?
expect.
I have never asked you to look into anything from me. I'll ask you now. I want you to look into how are you going to get rid of Lennox Gaspar. You're here on Voice of the Diaspora this evening. We're wrapping up now. We'll have the closing remarks of the distinguished mayor of Linden, Sharma Solomon. Him battled as he is, he has said to this program that no matter what they place before him, no matter who they put before him to undermine him, the work of the council is being successful. He said that tonight. Whatever objectives he has put out, or whatever objective he has to achieve, it is being achieved. And he is being resilient. Mayor Sharma Solomon, Deputy Mayor Dominique Blair on this program tonight. We are wrapping up now. And I will, after this brief clip, ask them to give their closing remarks and we call it an evening.
Mr. Clerk, why we don't have our mics working? What's wrong with the audio system?
Fresh batteries that was placed in all the mics this morning. All the mics were tested and they were working. I cannot explain what seems to be happening now, but all the mics were working as of this morning.
Somebody sabotaging with mics. The thing is important because we have not only for the clarity of the meeting, the scribe. Again, if you notice, we went through the minutes just now for corrections. These things need to be very clear, and also persons who are looking at this statutory, and even as we record this statutory,
what is being said must be said very clear for persons to understand what is being said. But I'll ask councillors, if you have your mics on the table, to please, as much as you can, to use your mics. Because I know even for the scribes at the committee meetings, we don't use mics. And it's a problem in them capturing accurately what is being said. So if it's loud enough, it's recorded properly enough that even if they don't get it, it's properly on the recording of it being said. So we're at page 2, matters arising out of the minutes.
I want to say, as we wrap up, on a lighter note, that the Sharma Solomon, the revolutionary Sharma Solomon, 2012, the man who would have made the world, America, the Caribbean, and everywhere else stood up and look at him for his struggle for the people against a government that wanted to take away the electricity tariff. That Sharma Solomon would have gone to higher education, attain a university degree. That Sharma Solomon would have become statesman-like, reasonably so, and matured in his delivery and his pronouncement. He has grown for the better. He has grown for the better. But had it been the old Sharma Solomon, Lennox Gaspar would not have gone to work for some reason or the other. For some reason or the other. I want to say tonight that that the mayor of Linden has a future in the development of Guyana in our rich country, and he has so much potential. I think he's destined for greatness. Whatever road he chooses, that is entirely up to him. I am always elated to have him on my program. He's very elusive sometimes. He doesn't come, but I am elated to have him today, and he stayed the course, though his schedule has been busy, and it is busy. He stayed the course tonight, and that is indicative. It is indicative to his interest in seeing the development of Linden, and also his interest in uniting with everyone, regardless of their position in terms of how they see him. Sharma Solomon has exercised in recent times a maturity that has gone beyond a revolutionary position. Is it a good or bad thing? That is a matter for a next program. But I will say this before we wrap up. He has a future in the struggle, but he has to choose the road he wishes to go. He has to choose that road he wishes, and he has to say, this is the road I'm walking, and this is the road that I will continue along to the end. Dominique Blair, your closing remarks, and then we will have, last but not least, the mayor of Linden, Sharma Solomon, giving his closing remarks.
All right. Thanks, Norman. We started off talking about the plans of the council. Just to add, this council have a beautification program with a number of projects that we'll be looking at throughout our tenureship. So have Lindens do understand that the tongue understand we're not just about parties fets. We have a program where we have different partners. We looking to partner with big companies like GT&T. You will see it in the coming days. We're trying to wrap up things like that. When it comes to when we talk about inclusivity, we internally we have a democratic process between councillors. So we have no problem. We believe in good governance, and we believe in people politics, and we will be continuing to represent the people of this town interest and advocate for the betterment of this town. Once again, Norman, thanks for having me, myself, to share my views on your program, your platform. And once again, open at the next forum, I will be happy to be here to discuss some of the plans that throughout the committees, so persons could understand the committee's function and stuff like that, so could understand where to go for help throughout the town. Thanks again. Thanks to
You know,
you.
and thank you, Dominic. I have a remote control and I like watching TV and so on. And anytime I put a new battery in my remote control, it works because it's a new battery. Sharma Solomon, you're Mayor of Linden, sorry, Sharma Solomon, your
All right,
closing remarks.
thanks for having us on, Norman. And I'm not elusive. If you call, I come. And I want you to be quite honest with that too. I may not come the said day you want me to come, but I make arrangements to come. You may have had issues that you write about, and I'm glad that you understand the type of person I am. Not personal, I hold none of this personal, especially when it comes to ensuring that we promote our tongue Linden, which you and I
Well,
are Lindeners.
this is why you buy a sim going against you. You're saying it's not personal, it's your brother still. It's political differences. But anyway, go ahead.
I have not said anything on the matter you have. I have not said anything on the matter you have.
I heard it through the grapevine. And that's a
I
mature
have
way.
not said anything you have. My position has always been consistent in how I do
I,
things. You know, I like what the
I said
deputy
on a
said
lighter
about.
note. I said on a lighter note.
I hear
But
that. I hear that. We're about
Asim has been your best friend. He was by your side in 2012, and he was a brother to you. I understand he's still a brother, but this
still is.
political
There is no
direction.
was.
Do you agree with this political direction that is undermining your struggle?
I have no idea of Brother Asim's political direction in terms of where he aligns himself, except that the brother speaks on issues that where he see the issues affecting not only the tongue but himself, and he have every right to speak on it. And that for me is something I will continue to represent every individual, whether they share a different political view, whether they're from a different orientation sexually. I might be
Mr.
Muslim. I
Mayor,
want you
Mr.
to
Mayor,
listen.
no,
I
Mr.
want you
Mayor.
know, no, I want you to
No, go
listen.
ahead,
You
go
have to
ahead, go
give me
ahead.
this chance because
Yeah,
it's
go ahead.
important. I will represent that for everyone because that is their democratic right. So if the brother, if the commentator like yourself or anyone else wants to comment, as you have done too, Narm, as you have done, I take none
But
of it
but
personal
don't you have a
because
right
at
to
the end
agree or
of the day,
disagree? Without being
yeah,
diplomatic.
that's the point.
Look, let me say
That's
this
the
quickly
point.
to you, but hold on. I don't want the diplomacy now because we are talking as politicians from way back. I don't want that diplomacy from you tonight because I don't want you to show me up on my program, which is your program.
I
Now,
am
hear
not
this.
showing up
Hold
on your
on,
program
hold on,
now.
hold on, hold on, hold on. I will let you give your closing remarks.
What is
When a letter emerged on this program, coming from the desk of the town clerk, a letter that was malicious and wicked, coming from the town clerk's desk. Asim questioned the veracity of that letter, the authenticity of that letter, whether the letter was real. You subsequently and rightfully went as the mayor of Linden to say that that letter is authentic. It was written by the town clerk. Asim did not want that. So I'm going to say this again without, I like your diplomacy. I like what you're saying, but I am a seasoned journalist as a seasoned activist. I've been in this business before you. So I'm saying this, and you know that I have been, long before you got into this business, you know I have been where you are, the most despised person. And I triumph. But the thing is this, Asim, many of your colleagues from your era that you associated with have discussed this issue and said they're surprised by Asim's attitude towards this struggle because the attitude appears as if he's undermining his friend. This is a perception by people, not by you. And you have to be very careful in how you respond because sometimes diplomacy can undermine your integrity. A man has a right to choose his political position. A man has a right to say, I support the Kashif and Shanghai organization, even though they become surrogate of the PPP and they've become evil and wicked and dreadful people. A man has a right to say, I support them, but you have to put it into context. If you support someone or an organization that wishes to undermine my very livelihood and existence, and to see me impoverished and pauperized and trampled on, then there is an issue that I have to respond to. You understand what I'm saying? There is the line that has to be drawn. And here is a situation where the Kashif and Shanghai organization, right, would have come out against you in the most vicious way. The most vicious way. And a man says, I in business with these people, nobody can tell me what to say or whatever about these people or whatever. But when it comes to principle, that man cannot stand up for principle on the side that he was friends with. Sharma Solomon, this is the topic for our next discourse, but I just want you to give your closing remarks. Thank you.
Again, Norman, thanks for having me on. And know that, again, I've never shied away. We are here. We will be here. If you invite me, I'll find the time to come, as on any program. I know the other night I was on a program, only agreeing the night of the program to appear on the program. Once it is to speak about Linden, once it's to speak about the issues affecting Linden and how we can collectively ensure that we work to advance our community, I am here. I've always been here, and I will continue by the grace of Almighty God, given the strength to be here. Now, as it relates to the issues that we are confronted with, let me say this upfront. The people of Linden, and my faith is with them, have always demonstrated that we are built for this, Norman. We are resilient. We have demonstrated to not only this country, but to the world, that we are prepared to stand in defense of our rights, and we are prepared to challenge any obstruction in our way. It may take some time, but as I said before, we've always demonstrated that we are prepared to overcome the challenges. So we are going to continue on the path of ensuring we promote Linden as the heart of Guyana. We're going to use the different means, whether it's a Linden Town Week, to be a vehicle to move that agenda forward. And we will continue to imply the necessary means by which we will empower our people in this very rich oil and gas economy and this country to ensure that they are part of the patrimony of the state and the development of this country. So it takes nothing away from us, Norman, to continue to do our work. We want to encourage even you, some of the harshest critic activists that are out there, to continue to hold us to account. I've seen 3 letters, just like you read about Asim, coming from you about matters that you share and that you are concerned about, that you want us to address. We've addressed a few of them, and we will continue to work wherever we see the deficiencies to improve them.
Regardless of our differences politically, and I want to say politically, regardless of our differences, I want to say this very clearly. I wish to see your success. You have given everything to this political struggle, and as a young person, you would have encountered a culture in our society that young people should toe the line, regardless of who or what they are or what they can offer. You have withstood the test of time. You have made some missteps. You have turned away from some people that would have had your back, but that is okay. The struggle is a storm, and sometimes rainwater could fall in your eye. The breeze could blow dust or some dust from leaves and so on in your eyes, and then you could be blinded for a second. But I want to say that the struggle, the end justifies the means. And as we continue to chart the course, and as we continue to fight, a friend could become an enemy, and an enemy could become a friend, and it continues along that way. But it is the end that justifies the means. I trust that your end will justify your means, and I will do whatever is in my power to ensure that your success is had. Sharma Solomon, Mayor of Linden, Dominique Blair, Deputy Mayor of Linden, thank you very much for being here on Voice of the Diaspora.
Well, I said I woke up this morning, everything intact. today. Oh, what a wonderful feeling. Surrounded by the ones I love and feel the warm embrace. Oh God, my hands are raised. But when I open the papers and I turn on the news, for a minute I was taken back. Missing murder, corruption, domestic abuse. I couldn't deal with